Three hooded figures stood in judgment as a kneeling Zayl carefully drew the pattern in the soft earth. The harsh cries of the nocturnal denizens of Tristan's jungle echoed now and then, eerie calls accenting the unsettling nature of the Rathmanian's task. His dagger, Zayl drew 2 arcs over its circle with a slash across it. Each image flared red the moment it was finished, then faded to a faint green. The young spellcaster's breathing grew rapid as his work progressed. "It is almost complete," he announced to the elders.
"What does Rathma teach us of touching the balance,
asked the middle of the three, a gaunt, gray-tressed female with twin black stars tattooed on each cheek. Zayl answered without hesitation. "At the least imbalance in either direction can cause great catastrophe." The woman pursed her thin lip.
That is the roast answer. But every acolyte is told in the beginning, so they do not see the skills they learn as something to use as they please. You are far advanced beyond that point, Zayl, son of Ikrian.
Look deeper into yourself and your work,
suggested a bald male, whose face was nearly as fleshless as the bones with which the necromancers perform their mysterious work.
Concentrate,
murmured the third, whose visage could not even be seen under the voluminous hood. His voice had a curious echo to it, as if he spoke from deep within some cavern.
Think in terms of yourself, for that is where every spell and every consequence comes from. Conclude the pattern,
added the cadaverous man. Zayl added a wavy line, representing water, to his design. He leaned back, studying each detail, and finding nothing amiss. At the same time, another compartment in his mind analyzed the question. So it had something to do with the pattern upon which he worked. The questions of the elders were ever tied to the moment, for the moment was always the most important aspect of time. The moment shaped the future, decided the course the Rathmanians needed to keep the balance as it should be. He studied the symbols, the broken sun, the water, the arcs that represented lives, the jagged marks that were fire. For some reason, they struck a chord deep within Zayl, one that stirred an emotion long buried. Then he saw both patterns' meaning and the answer they desired. No.
What does Rathma teach us, Zayl?
The woman insisted. Do not make me do this.
the lesson is to be learned for you to take your place among us.
Reverberated the faceless figure.
Strike the pattern, young one. Let loose the spell.
The skeletal instructor, raising one bony hand toward their student.
But first, you must answer the question.
Zayl hand shook. He almost reached down with his empty one to wipe away the abomination he had drawn. But then his teachings took over. He focused on the pattern, trying to see it clinically, not emotionally. They would expect him to do no less. Rathma teaches us to use the balance so, he involuntarily swallowed, will destroy our own focus, and therefore, our souls. And if that should happen, we become the very threat that we seek to keep at bay.
A near enough answer.
Proclaimed the woman.
Complete the spell, Zayl.
Gritting his teeth, the student plunged the dagger into the center, burning the sacred blade to its hilt in the soft ground. Utter silence filled the jungle, and then new howls tore through the air. They were not the cries of animals, but rather originated from another place. A place giving opening into the mortal plane by Zayl's pattern. Ethereal whiffs of energy burst from the center, rising up and swirling around the caster. Zayl's hair and cloak rose as if electrified. Even the garments of the skeletal man and the tattooed woman reacted, although their shadowed companion appeared untouched in even the slightest way. Zayl watched the wisps wrap around him. His expression he managed to keep in check, but his eyes revealed a trace of deep, dark emotion. Many of the wisps rose up into the jungle canopy, where they darted about. The howls turned to moans that sent shivers through Zayl's body. And then two of the wisps returned to the student, spiraling about him before finally floating back over the pattern.
Look at them.
Zayl would have preferred to keep his gaze anywhere else, but he obeyed. Even had the elder not ordered him, his own guilt would have made him look. As he focused on the wisps, they briefly took on forms. Shadowed, barely glimpsed forms. A man, a woman, both with some distinct resemblance to one. Zayl reached out to them, beseeching. I did not mean for it to happen, The hooded form stretched an iron boot toward the pattern, obliterating the outer edge of Zayl's design. The howling and moaning ceased. The wisp vanished in an instant. The two before the young Necromancer, the last to fade. Falling forward, Zayl cried, "No! Come back, please!"